Hello class and welcome. This is the welcome video for Chemistry 100 Lab. I'm your instructor, Michael Ferguson. If you want to know what to call me, you can call me Mike or Dr. Professor Ferguson, whatever makes you feel happy, I guess. I don't really care how you interact with me. There's nothing derogatory. But anyways, the purpose of this video is to orient you to the class. So now that I've introduced myself, here are some features with the class. What I have right now up is the Laulima page. So you sign into Laulima, you come here, and this is the front page, the overview page. If you're wondering, right now they have sent me and selected me an office. I just transferred from Maui. And they have given me an office, but I don't believe it. I don't even have the keys yet. So when I get my keys, then I'll start to think I'm there. And they haven't given me a phone number yet. So you can get a hold of me by email or through Laulima in the meantime. I guess we'll start by going over the syllabus. So here's the syllabus tabs. On the left side of Laulima, you have the syllabus. And so this is Chemistry and Society Lab. It's the companion course to Chemistry and Society. And so here's my information. I told you that things are still being sorted out. So there's my office hours. So virtually, and we can meet in person if you'd like. Reminder to students, I'm a biological intelligence. I'm not an artificial intelligence. That means I need to do things like sleep. I also have other interests, like spending times with friends and family. So, if you email me on the weekend and I'm hanging out on the beach or something like that, I'm probably not going to respond to you right away. But in general, I'm usually pretty fast. So even if I'm in like the grocery store, I'll respond real fast. If you get a really short message from me, it means I'm in my cell phone and I'm somewhere like, waiting in line at the grocery store or something like that. So course information, this is Companion Class Chem 100 Lab. Here are the learning outcomes. We're going to do the meat of this class by laboratory simulations, and I'll show you some of the stuff. It's Labster, and course format, it's online. Here are the grading policies, so it's a 10-point split with that. And so some of these, here are the student accommodations. So if you have any issues with disabilities, Title IX issues, and that. So not listed on here. I am a University of Hawaii System Safe Zone advocate, which means I will speak for people. So there's an ally, an advocate. I'm also an ally, of course. An ally is, hey, I'm with you, kind of thing. An advocate is a little higher, saying that, if you want me to, I'll speak for you. So I'm bringing this up in part because of Title IX. So I am a responsible person as determined by the federal government, meaning that if any Title IX issues happen, I am required by law to report them. So, and some of that is in direct conflict, of course, to my advocacy of Safe Zone, but I just wanted to have you be aware of both those things. So, and then additional support. So there is this website here that has additional support for students. So you can look through that. Another thing is, especially if you ever run into issues with basic needs. So come on now, you're taking a chemistry class. If you can't find food, if you can't find shelter, there's no way you're going to be successful in any endeavor, really, because of Maslow's hierarchy of needs, right? You really have to get your basic needs sorted before you can do anything else. So if you do run, of course you can come through here and look at these various things. But you can always contact me. One of the nice things about being a faculty member is that I'm very connected in the community. And the other thing is people bend over backwards to help me. So especially if I come to them with a student issue. So if you feel comfortable and with me, and if you have any of those issues, then please you can consider me as a resource for you, and I'll do whatever I can to help you out. And again, it's a mutual thing, right? Because I want you to do well in my class. You want to do well in your class, and you cannot do well in this class if you are not having your basic needs met. So, okay, so that's general the syllabus. But I mean, with the other stuff, the meat of it is we're using Labster, and here are the grade splits, and I have them in 3 chunks. When they're due, the same thing. It follows the same as the Chemistry 100 class. And the other thing is, if you're trying to figure me out as a teacher, I'm very bendy. If you need more time, that's no problem. But part of it, communicate with me. So I have the lab set up here as lesson tools in Laulima. And it has this here. It has, and these are optional. Right here, I'm on lab 1, the introduce yourself, and if you want a lab partner, you're fine to work with other people, or you can work alone. Especially with my experiences with online learning, is most people work alone, but you're also welcome to work with other people. So I do encourage that, and. It's a good way to make friends. Another thing is the world is turning online, right? And in fact, this class and other classes, the asynchronous online, these are by far the most enrolled classes. Students prefer these classes, which is actually a shock to people. They thought that there would be a force going back on campus. Students want to be on campus face to face, and we're not. The truth of the matter is we are not seeing that at all. And so academia hasn't really gotten the news yet. Also, but a lot of industry has, so that the world is becoming hybrid or online, so that people are working from home, and this is the future. The future came. We were already leaning in that direction, but the pandemic really pushed it. So, which also means, right, among other things, my role changes as an instructor, right? So, and hopefully, and I believe I'm doing a good job, But, okay, so let's go to Labster. So I'm going to send you an invitation to join Labster, and then you sign up, and so you have to pay for access, and then you get into, so I'm gonna, like I said, send you the invitation, and you'll send you to this course, and here are the different simulations. I have it set up for infinite attempts, so you can go through as many as you want. So and the Labster demo, of course, this is a very easy one, so it's just to orient you to it, and you have to use a laptop on this. That's the thing with Labster. You have to use a laptop just because of the computing power, and I'll show you. So it's
Hi there. Welcome to Labster.
So, yeah,
Here you can experience fully interactive laboratory simulations on many different science
and
topics.
she's really loud, and
Today your mission is to help me
down.
identify the biological molecule shown in the image. Click continue to start with your mission. This simulation uses voiceovers. If you don't have audio.
All right. Telling Dr. 1 to be quiet. Dr. 1 is a little eye thing that comes around. So go through these with any lab class, chemistry safety. I personally think, I think this is going to be the norm for education coming up. I think that actual chem labs where we mix chemicals and stuff, I think that is an artifact of the past, because I'm a PhD chemist, and the only time that I use my chemistry glassware lab skills is when I'm teaching chemistry lab. So in my research, I did do a little bit. I mixed up a solution to run my laser in grad school. It had a laser dye, and I had to put a little bit of laser dye in a solvent, and I mean I used glassware for that. It wasn't a very controlled thing. It was something that didn't require chemistry lab skills to do. So I mean the idea of all these things, titrations, and you're actually doing them, it's kind of outdated. I mean, because right now robots do titrations for us. We don't have humans doing it. There are a few cases where we do have that, but I in a quarter of all college students attempt to take general chemistry. I think teaching a quarter of the educated, like the higher educated population, a skill that's no longer needed. I mean, I think that's something that's rife to just be tossed out. And I think that the future of chemistry education is simulations like this, and eventually we're going to move into augmented and virtual reality. I mean, I wouldn't exactly call this virtual reality, but I think that's where chemistry lab is going, to be very honest with you. So we're a little ahead of the curve here, because Labster uses a gaming platform, and with anything you have the chemistry lab, chemistry safety talk. And so of course online the closest thing you'll get is maybe you'll get a computer virus, right? But I mean and there are some things that you can't capture. They have a spill. There's a simulated spill, and there is with sulfuric acid, and when it reacts with baking soda, sodium bicarbonate, there's a sound, and there's a smell, of course, that you can't really mimic on a simulation. So but I mean they do a good job. And I mean, because one of the things, you have to put gloves on, and as you go through some of the hygiene thing, that's an interesting thing about this simulation. So periodic table, I do get a few questions on this one. So this is probably the lab that people have to start playing around, and so one of the tricks with this is to try and figure out where where you have to click and move things, and it'll kind of highlight. I don't know how much you play video games or kind of stuff. It's gonna highlight kind of the area and things you have to go towards. And again, this is a gaming platform that they use for this, and so hopefully that will help follow you and as you go along. If you get stuck though, of course, and this is something that I don't want you to spend a huge amount of time on. If you really get stuck on this, this is one of those, you just contact me, and I can help walk you through it, kind of thing. Because I mean, it says here 38 minutes. I mean, you could do it in less than that, but I mean, you could also do it in 5 hours because you can't figure it out. And I don't want you to spend 5 hours on this, right? And let's say that you wait till the super end of the deadline, and like you're 3 a.m, you're working on this. That's okay. I'll give you an extension. Don't spend 5 hours on this and then miss work or get sick because you didn't sleep. I mean, that's stupid, right? So I mean, it's especially when we can solve it together in like less than 5 minutes, right? So or maybe 10 or 20, I don't know, depends on how lost we are, but it's better than 5 hours, right? So and this is a cool one, the atoms and isotopes. You get to build an atom, right? So I mean, atoms are made of protons, neutrons, and electrons, so you can start building your atom, and I like the way this one goes through and sets that up. So again, this one here, gas law, this is a very non-math oriented class. There's a little bit here, but it goes through some of the gas laws. So I like this one. So it's a little bit of math, but not too much. But I mean, some of the ideas of Boyle's law, right, where you have the pressure, volume, inverse proportion. So and Then here's another one, acids and base. So I like how they kind of tell stories. So this one here, you're telling the story of and then of course with the water pollution. So that's one of the big things of this class is chemistry and society. How does pollution affect us? And so Benedict's test. This is again actually Benedict's test. This is even old technology. This is the test for reducing sugars, so like glucose and fructose, and so you have a blue solution and it turns brown, and this is a one where you go like of course we don't necessarily do this anymore, except in chemistry lab classes. No one uses Benedict's solution anymore except for teaching. So of course now we have many other ways of measuring blood glucose. So and actually this is my favorite lab, the wastewater treatment lab, because and I remember Labster, they're kind of embarrassed about this one. Like, who's going to use that? I'm like, I love that lab. I like this one because it really shows you how the different places are going and how wastewater treatment works, and like you can go to a wastewater treatment plant, but I mean they're smelly. I mean it's dirty. It's got our waste in it, and so it stinks. This is a really important thing, especially for the island of Maui, because and for Hawaii in general. I mean, I guess not just Maui, but Maui lost a Supreme Court case dealing with wastewater treatment, and they're going to have to change things here. And same thing with Oahu. We have to upgrade our wastewater treatment. So this is a big deal. So a big deal for us, and I like how it goes through it. And then you go into a pilot plant where you're removing I think it's the bisphenol A from the water stream. So that's an interesting one. And again, you have infinite attempts. I've played through this a lot, and I mean, honestly, if you could just play around with it and figure it out. So, but I think it's fun. I mean, try not to get too stressed out about it, but I do like this one. Like I said, this is my favorite one. So environmental impact of coal plants. So this is another interesting one. Again, it's, environmental chemistry, bringing the science into this, and also environmental science. So it's another one that tells a story, and the PCR. So polymerase chain reaction. This simulation goes through kind of and of course it is simulated. It's a simulated crime scene. And although this is really kind of a biological, it's a kind of a bio simulation, but I included it in this class because of COVID-19. So the PCR test, polymerase chain reaction test, that's kind of considered the gold standard for diagnosis of COVID-19. There's also the antigen test. So there's that one. And it works very well, of course. But the PCR is kind of what we like, most of it. And if you can go through the sort of the morbid crime scene, but you can use the PCR test to help find the killer. And there's another interesting one: your diet and your DNA. It's kind of two classmates chatting and talking about how she's tired, and like maybe it's your diet, and then you go through and you can play around and find the right diet for the student. I like this one too. I thought it was a kind of a fun one, because you gotta decide what to eat and kind of thing in a very automated virtual thing. So I enjoyed that. And then last one here, again telling the story of I think it's Greg, if I remember, the farmers looking at the reducing emissions. I like these later ones. So like the environmental coal power plant. I mean, That one's it's an interesting one. It's not as much. I think I like these. These are the ones a little more fun. These are my more favorite ones in the carbon cycle. But I really like the wastewater treatment. I really like the diet in your DNA. Those are my favorite ones. Then I probably put the polymers, then the carbon cycle, then the coal power plant kind of stuff. So, because these are the ones that tell a story. So those are the ones that are my favorite one. I guess the wastewater treatment plant doesn't tell a story, but I like how that Lavster does that one. So, I mean, these other ones they're general. I think I like this one too, the atomic structure, because you get to build something, right? So that's kind of fun. Periodic table. I mean, it's an important one, but I mean, it's a lot about organizing and looking at properties of things. So, but it's pretty easy and self-explanatory. I'm not going to give you something that's really hard. So those are the simulations, and I have them set. And like I said, the purpose of this class, this is a non-majors class. Okay, so this Chemistry 100 is a non-majors class, and so meaning you're a non-STEM major class. So this is not general chemistry that's like algebra 2 word problems with lots and lots of logic. The purpose of this class is if you have to take one class in natural sciences and natural sciences lab, this is the class to take. Okay, and it's to give you practical knowledge going forward. So like with the wastewater treatment lab, now you know a little bit more about that. And also it's important for us in Hawaii because of the recent Supreme Court decisions that affect our water usage. And water usage is a very big issue for many people. So the point of this class is to be as applicable as possible to your lives. And so I personally think this is more beneficial for you than to have you come in the chemistry lab and then teach you how to pour solutions into glassware. So, and this is also a terminal class, meaning you take just this one. There's not classes in series. Gen Chem 1 has Gen Chem 2. After Gen Chem 2, you have Organic 1. After Organic 1, you have Organic 2. After Organic 2, you have quantitative measurements. Then you have inorganic chem, physical chemistry, and analytical chem. And it was just, like I said. So this one, though, this is standalone. So I'm sorry for a little bit of the introduction. I want to go over the labs a little bit as well. So I know I hopefully haven't bored you too much. So, but I do hope you enjoy the class. And as your instructor, for me personally, I feel myself I'm more of a coach. So I'm here to help you out. I'm like your trainer. I'm your coach, and I'm not. So I'm not here to give you orders. I'm here to work with you. So with that in mind, I'm going to close this video now. And let me know if you have any questions. You'll be hearing from me many, many times throughout the terms. So, aloha.